Hi, my name is Felix, and I'm pretty sure you have a lot of different skills and you're amazing at a lot of different things, but you can't make any money from them. And what ends up happening is that you work some random job that pays the bills and you live quite comfortably from it, but it doesn't fulfill you and you kind of feel empty inside. And you've probably tried building a career or make money from one of your real interests for years, but it hasn't worked so far. And I was in the exact same position. And for many years, I tried making money from one of my real interests. It didn't work. And after a certain period of time, I actually understood what I need to change and what I need to do different in order to really generate money and make an income from one of my real interests that fulfill me. And in this video, I'm gonna share my exact process and what I did in order to do that. And you can just copy it so you can start making money from one of your real interests as well. Alrighty, so I promised a full guide and we have 4 different steps we're gonna go through in this video. The first one is think, the second one is choose, the third one is define, and the fourth one is implement. So the first step is actually to think. And what I mean by this is pretty simple. So as a multipotentialite, you probably have a lot of different ideas, a lot of different interests, a lot of different things you're good at or other people ask you for advice in. And you kind of need to sit down now and to create a vision and a picture of your life that you actually want to achieve. And no worries, we're not going to visualize any stuff because I think that doesn't really work. We're just going to do some brainstorming here. And since we want to make money from one of your interests, we have to focus on the business side of life, okay? And what you do is you're just gonna sit down and you just think what will be an amazing way for you to make money, or what kind of options do you have? And you just write them down. And what I usually do is I just make a mind map like this, and then I sit down and I write all my ideas and things that would excite me or that I would do if I had $100 million in my bank account. All these different questions you probably already know. You can just ask and you just put it on the mind map. You don't decide right now. You're not committing to anything. You're not making a decision. You're not forcing yourself into something to specialize in. We're just putting all the ideas we have as multipotentialites and people with a lot of different interests in our mind on a piece of paper. And let's say I might want to become a graphic designer and, I don't know, make like 5K from it. Maybe I want to start being a freelance writer and travel to Bali while making 4K online. Okay, maybe you want to do something corporate or career. Maybe you want to learn coding and IT, coder, and get a remote job. Maybe you've been dreaming of this. Maybe you want to become a chef or cook and work on a private yacht, sailing around while cooking. Okay, that sounds cool. Maybe you want to be a yoga teacher and train X amount of classes per week. Okay, you get the gist. You just put this out there and you want to focus on putting on this piece of paper as many different things as you possibly can. So when I did it the first time, just in business, I focused on putting at least 20, 30, 40 different goals, ideas, interests I have on that mind map. And again, we're not deciding anything. We're just putting this all onto this piece of paper, okay? And once you have this and you have your 20 to 30 goals, you might feel a little bit overwhelmed. But again, we're gonna go through some steps in order to actually find out which ones are the right ones. And the key thing is actually to know what they are for you, because then you're able to actually set goals that align with what's most important for you. And in my definition, they pretty much just say what do you value the most in life and what is most important to you. And based on this, you can then set goals that will actually allow you to get to those places. And you find them out. There are multiple different ways in order to find them out. The most common one is usually to pick a few values from some list. But the problem is that they are usually aspirational and they are not really the values you make your life decisions on. And that's a problem because then you're not really able to align your life with them and you're not able to act in alliance with them. So what you want to do instead is you want to sit down and you think of like 3 to 5 like turning points in your life. Like what have been turning points in your life where you completely made a different decision, or it was a life-changing decision, something completely changed. And it can be different moments of your life. Maybe you moved away after high school to some other place. Maybe you broke up with a girlfriend you had for many, many years. And for example, one of my turning points in my life, I did a year abroad when I was 16 in the United States. I couldn't speak any English. I was very introverted and shy, but I still decided to do it. And that ended up being a turning point. And because of it, I was able to then go back in this situation and think, okay, why did I choose that way in that situation? And if you do that, then your motives and your values will come out because there has been something that drove you to make this decision in that way. And for me, for example, I wanted to always go my own way and my own path. I didn't want to follow anyone. I just wanted to make my own path. And that has been a recurring theme that I saw in other turning points in my life as well. So that became one of my core values. And you want to be able to have a list of like 3 to 5 different things that you end up with. And let's just use mine. So being different, own way. Okay. Then I want to be free of limitations. Prove to myself what I can do, and belonging. Okay, so those are the 4 that came out after I did this exercise and I had like my turning points, and those are my core values. And again, the thing is, by having these core values, you can then set goals, and that's the whole idea, that will most likely get you to a place where you are fulfilling your values. Because the thing is, you're not actually achieving your goals because of achieving them. For example, maybe you have the goal of buying like a Porsche or a Ferrari, like a supercar. So you don't actually want this because you want to have a lot of steel and like aluminum, whatever the word is, in front of your door. That's not the case. You want this because you believe it will make you feel a certain way and you're hopefully fulfilling your values. So for example, if my value is being free of limitations, maybe setting the goal of buying a Ferrari might not be the thing because it won't really allow me to be free of my limitations. It might be a different thing if you have some other value, but for example, for me, maybe free of limitations might be to have no fear or to overcome my social anxiety that I had when I was 16, when I went to the United States. Those would have been better goals because they allowed me to fulfill those values I have in life. Okay? And what you do now is, since you have this list of values, hopefully, you go through all your goals that you've set and you change them around and you delete based on which ones align with your values. And any goal that doesn't align with your values, you immediately delete. Okay? You just get rid of it. You won't pursue it anyway, and it doesn't have any meaning to you. And that's usually causing the problem of you jumping around and trying multiple different things because they don't have any real strong meaning behind them. Okay? So for example, if I look at my values and I look at all these different goals, and maybe we put in something else as well. Let's say, okay, being a freelancer, travel to Bali and making 4K online. Being different, only in a way, I feel like a lot of people do this. It wouldn't be really my own way. It would kind of be the classical digital nomad path. So based on this, don't really feel it. The thing is, free of limitations. if I just make 4K online and I'm just being the freelancer, then I'm kind of a slave to my business because I have to work all the time and no one else writes for me. So, and I'm also not really proving to myself what I can do. And this is just for me because I've done this before exactly. And it wasn't a dream. So for me, it might be actually to maybe have like copywriting business with 1 or 2 writers. This would allow me to be free of limitations, making, I don't know, 50K per month or so, which would also allow me to be free of limitations while only working 4 hours a day. This would be being different because I know a lot of people work a lot more in that case. And I would able to prove to myself, and especially if I work with clients I'd go on vacation with. Okay, so you see, I really changed it around so it actually matches my values, and this one feels much more aligned than the version before. And again, anything that doesn't align, you immediately delete. So being different my own way, yoga teacher, isn't really proving what I can do. Maybe it gives me some belonging, but it's not completely my group of people, yoga people. So I would just get rid of it. Doesn't really do this. This one as well, but again, I feel like I'm not really being free of limitations. I'm kind of working there and kind of having a job. Doesn't really align as well. Coding. This could be cool. Maybe if I code some apps that I sell to like local businesses, or maybe for coaches, because I know like the whole education industry is moving towards like self-based learning. So if you have a course or something and you have an app, that's much more effective because people are actually able to work interactively with a chatbot or something where all the course content is actually in there. So people can learn at their own speed and they can ask questions and stuff like this. So if I learn coding and then I program apps that I sell for coaches so they can have apps for the coaching program, that would be something very unique and different. Nobody has ever done this before. And it's just getting started to actually make waves in the marketplace. And if I work with coaches, a lot of my friends are coaches and in that space, education space. So that'd be something very cool that would get me excited. Okay, and maybe I don't want to be a graphic designer. So what you end up with is maybe a handful, but maybe you already see which ones is the one for you to pursue. If not, what you want to do is you just want to let it sit a while. Don't force yourself to choose immediately. What you do then is you just keep coming back to this for the next week or month or even 3 months. And you just come back and you keep looking at your values and then you keep deleting and you edit and you're like, okay, maybe I don't want to be a coder. Maybe this one. And then I swear after a while, when you keep coming back to this and you keep adding and deleting, there's something that will just stare in your face what you need to do and what is the thing for you to pursue. It will just stare in your face and you just know, okay? Once you do, you'll pick this, okay? And that's how you then make your decision on what your vision is and what you want to pursue in business, okay? And don't worry, you can do this for all the other areas of life. If you just Google Wheel of Life or something, you see all the different areas of life, and you can do the exact same thing for all these other areas, which will allow you to scratch all these different itches and interests you actually have. I did the same thing. I have one for personality and learning and joy and all these different things that interest me. But we're doing this for money and business, and this is actually how you get to a conclusion there, okay? So let's take this, and we have this goal there. What we need to do now is we need to make this, maybe depending on how good you did this, but maybe a little bit clearer, and you just want to look at your goal, and you want to ask yourself, okay, like how do I know this is done? How do I know this? I achieved this? And then you want to write down all these criteria. So for example, 50K cash flow per month. I only write for max 2 hours per day. 2, 3 writers that do 80% of their writing. Fulfillment, reliable lead flow. Okay, so those are just a few things. Lead flow, lead channel. Okay, maybe we have like 3 to 5 sales calls per week. I should do it, especially if those are retainer clients. Yeah, okay. And I only work 4 to 6 hours per day in general. Okay, so those are my criteria. So I'm pretty clear on what is actually the thing I want to pursue and I want to do. Now, this is the first part. We already did the thinking part now, which is this part, and we already chose. We did choose this one, okay? So now the problem is, and what most people do, and why a lot of people fail actually achieving their goals as multi-potentialites, is this is you. This is your current character, okay? This is who you are right now. And then you have your goal. This is over here. Okay, what most people do is they are actually their current character and then they try to go and achieve their goals. And usually they get flipped back and they keep quitting and they keep running back to where they started. Because it doesn't work. In order to achieve your goals, you have to be a completely different person and you have to be someone new, but like a better version of yourself. You don't have to abandon your values and who you are in your core. You just have to become a better version of yourself. And in order to achieve your goals, then you have to grow into a new character. That is actually able to achieve this. Okay. And we do this by then looking at the goal and asking ourselves, like, what are the habits and the behaviors that this new character has in order to achieve those goals effortlessly. So, okay. And here's a big difference. I know a lot of other like visualizations, things and stuff like this. They actually talk a lot about like, oh, you need to change the clothes you're wearing, or like what kind of shirts you wear, or what kind of haircut you have. And this stuff can help, but those are usually like lifestyle-based habits. What we want to do is we want to focus on your business habits, okay? Because this person, maybe currently you're not doing any lead gen, you're not reaching out to any people, you're not actually writing any copies, you're not doing any content, you're not doing anything in order to actually make you money. So, but this character that can achieve this effortlessly, he's probably doing something. So if I just ask myself, okay, like what kind of person do I need to become in order to achieve this effortlessly? And what kind of habits does this character has in order to make this much money and to achieve these goals? And it's probably something like reaching out to 10 potential clients per day, doing sales calls, follow up calls. Maybe he's posting content somewhere. Maybe he's like writing X amount of copies per day. Maybe he's studying for an hour. And strategy sessions. Okay, so those I'd say are this new character is with a high chance doing all these different things on a daily basis in order to achieve this goal effortlessly. Yeah, he's doing other stuff as well, but we want to focus on the things that are most important and to actually achieve your goal. And the thing is now, in order to actually make this happen and make this a reality, you have to start being this new character. And the most direct way of doing this is by actually starting to build these habits that this character does on a daily basis in order to achieve those goals effortlessly, okay? And you now have those habits, and what we focus on most specifically are your revenue generating habits. And it doesn't matter if you want to level up your job, or if you want to build a career, or you climbing up the corporate ladder, or you building a business or a side hustle. It doesn't matter. There are a few habits and a few behaviors and actions that drive most of your revenue and money. And in business, if you want to achieve this goal, what I just outlined here as an example, then your revenue generating habits are like reaching out to potential clients every single day and posting lead gen content, maybe on LinkedIn or something, okay? That allows you to get customers, and then reaching out to a few customers. And maybe if you do LinkedIn, like adding 20, 30 people to your friends list, or whatever it's called, okay? For example, if you want to climb up the corporate ladder, maybe for you, then it's about getting a different job or a better job and educating yourself. Maybe then it's about taking those classes, maybe sending out a certain amount of CVs and applications for different jobs. Maybe you want to climb up the corporate ladder, but in order to do this, you need to build a few more skills that actually allow you to then level up. Then your revenue generating habit would probably be studying those skills and then also applying them. Okay, so you find out what this new character does in order to achieve the goal effortlessly, and you want to focus on the few habits that actually drive most of the revenue. Okay, that's very important, because we want to start building this identity around your revenue generating habits. Once you have this, and I know there's probably resistance around this, we want to actually, because now we have defined, we want to start implementing these things. Because it's all well and good to have this written down like this, but you need to actually start building the habits around it. And we start using like the simple principles of a habit loop, and we start with one single habit, not too many, just one, okay? Because we want to make it ingrained in your body, and you want to actually start embracing this identity of, hey, I'm this business owner that makes X amount of money, and I leveled up in my job, and I have this new position. And in order to do this, you have to perform these habits every single day, so you start embracing this new identity. And if we take the first one and we find out like, hey, the most important one is actually this one, okay? Reaching out to people. And the next one is like the content and stuff. We want to make it as small and as easy as possible. So maybe instead of doing 10, maybe the first one is actually just to reach out per day, okay? For the next, okay. So and after you've done this, you maybe you increase the difficulty a little bit, and maybe you start reaching out to 5 people every single day or something like this for the next 30 days, and you keep increasing this, okay? But this is then the first core habit you focus on, and you do like an implementation intention. So you write down when you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, and what kind of reward you give yourself. You can just Google habit loop and it will pop up, and then you pop this in there. And then I'd suggest you use like a simple habit tracker. You can put this on your desk or on your closet or even online, where you're able to just track that you've been doing this every single day for the next 30 days. And after 30 days, you start doing the next one, and you make it as easy and fun and simple as possible as well to post content. Maybe you post once per week on a platform you like and where your potential customers are. And slowly but surely, you start being this new character by embracing those revenue generating habits, and they will allow you to make money and to slowly build this new business where you're actually making money from your interests.